Hello, everybody. No live stream today. Just want to jump in real quick and talk to you about what's going on with the market and why there's so much volatility and why we can see that there is some trouble ahead. Now, if you haven't heard the story, here's the story. The market cap is teetering on 4 trillion and falling below that. That's a couple $100 billion just taken off in just a couple hours or so. And we can see that Bitcoin's down 3%, Ethereum down 7%, and other altcoins are actually holding up relatively well. BNB down 1.4, Solana only 6. I say only 6 like it's not a big deal. And actually, coming on here, Litecoin up 7% for the day, but across the board, just pretty much a red day, and that's pretty much what it is. And why is that? Tariffs. Now, this isn't President Trump coming out and saying, I'm going to impose a tariff. This is actually in response to China. And as a reminder, there's been no changes in tariffs on the United States side. It's just what was the response or the initial output from China. And here's what we have. So as of October 10th, China announced expanded rare earth export controls, adding 5 new elements to its restricted list. Now, on this list, it didn't really specifically say exactly what those elements are. They do have to do with microprocessors. And of course, because of the drastic need for compute and AI, this is a big deal. And Trump actually responded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link this in the description so you can read this for yourself. This is Donald Trump over on Truth Social, which is a direct competitor to X. And Trump usually puts out stuff, important, pressing things here first, and then he'll kind of slide over into X every so often. But this is what he said recently, within the last couple hours or so, of what's going on. He said, hey, some very strange things are happening in China. They are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world that they want to impose export controls. Essentially, it would clog the markets, make life difficult for everybody in the world. And he says, it's just interesting, he says, especially for China. I think he's giving a warning very subtly. He says there's no way that China should be allowed to hold the world captive, but that seems to have been their plan for quite some time, starting with the magnets and other elements that they have quietly amassed in a somewhat of a monopoly position. And I will say, on some of these rare earth elements, they are on the monopoly at 90% plus. So I know what Trump is saying here, but honestly, right now, China has that hand. But the US has monopoly positions also, he states, much stronger and more far-reaching than China's. I have just not chosen to use them. There was never a reason for me to do so until now. Oh, this is getting good. It's like a novella. He states I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks in South Korea, but that's not going to happen. And then lastly, depending on what China says about the hostile order that they have just put out, I will be forced as President of the United States to financially counter their move. For every element that they've been able to monopolize, we have 2. Interesting. I never thought it would come to this, but perhaps as with all things, time has come. Ultimately, though potentially painful, it will be a very good thing in the end for the USA. One of the policies we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming into the United States of America. And that, my friends, is the reason essentially why we're seeing a big pullback in the crypto markets and also a big pullback in traditional markets. So that is essentially why it's happening. And just to follow up with this story, these minerals serve as critical elements, electrical vehicles, wind turbines, and military equipment. So, of course, when they put some kind of restrictions on there, it kind of causes a big problem throughout the chains of the entire world. And like I said, China maintains an extraordinary grip on the global rare earth supply chain, controlling over 90% of the world's processed rare earths and rare earth magnets. So we can see that this is definitely an issue. We'll find out what happens. But again, this is one of those things where we go back and forth. And of course, we're going to see a bit of a decline in the markets, but usually things bounce back when we get more positive news. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I think this is just one of those things that it'll be bumpy for quite some time, and maybe we'll turn things around, or maybe it'll get even worse. Nobody really knows for sure. And that's what makes this whole market interesting. But there was this part here where he says the Chinese letters were especially inappropriate, and that this was the day that after 3,000 years of bedlam and fighting, there is peace in the Middle East. I wonder if that was coincidental. And I found this interesting because there was a deal brokered between Hamas and Israel, and looks like this was phase 1. Looks like the prisoners are going to be released. I think it's supposed to be happen today. So that's great. I like peace. I don't like perpetual war. This is fantastic news. But that was quite interesting, which leads me to the next story, insider information and poly market. This is from Jason Furman, professor at Harvard, teaches EC10 economics. Some posts might be educational, Contributor, in my opinion, was chair of President Obama's CEA. And he states, the other day, a student asked me about the prevalence of insider trading and prediction markets. I now have an answer. If you didn't know, it's quite interesting. Somebody bet on the eventual Nobel Peace Prize winner, which was Maria Corina Machado out of Venezuela, and picked that person out of everybody out there and won a boatload of money. Here's how that happened. A Polymarket user figured out who won the Nobel Peace Prize 11 hours before the official announcement from the Nobel Committee. Let's be real. Somebody leaked that. Nobody knew Maria Corina Machado was going to win this one. Somebody leaked it. Somebody made a lot of money on Polymarket. The market was trading at 8 cents, then rose to $1, a 100x gain for those who got in early. This shows how powerful open information markets can be. People across the world piece together clues, leaks, and better patterns faster than traditional media or any institution out there. Not a single mainstream media outlet reported on Machado winning the Nobel Peace Prize before the official announcement. Only Polymarket got it right. Every week, Polymarket becomes more of a real-time truth engine, predicting events before they are public. So I don't know how you're going to use this information, but me personally, I might be taking a little bit more harder look at Polymarket and what they're putting out, just giving that a whirl. So let me know what you think about that. And then to finish up before we get out of here, congratulations to Ms. Machado. And she actually came out and on X said this. She says, the recognition of the struggle of all Venezuelans is a boost to conclude our task to conquer freedom. I think she went up against President Maduro and did not win, even though it was stolen from her. And this is where she is rallying against. She states, we're on the threshold of victory, and today more than ever, we count on President Trump, the people of the U.S., the people of Latin America, and democratic nations of the world as our principal allies to achieve freedom and democracy. I dedicate this prize, Nobel Peace Prize, to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. And I got to tell you, it's interesting because this lady, Machado, I should say, I'm sorry, is actually also a Bitcoiner, and she wants to bring Bitcoin into Venezuela and make it a reserve currency. So we'll see how that all plays out, and everything is intertwined. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. What we talk about is time sensitive. That's it for this one. I appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you on the next one.